Okay, hello everyone. I wanted to make a quick video for you guys on how to make nice white backgrounds to use for Amazon. It'll be a pretty simple tutorial. I know a lot of you are intimidated and confused by Gimp, which is a program we're going to be using. It's G-I-M-P, Gimp. It's a free program, open source. I'll make sure that I have a link for you guys so you can download it. But let's get started here. Alright, so I already have an image opened up here. It's something I've been doing retail arbitrage with. I took this picture using my light box. You can see the background's not totally perfect. The lighting's pretty good though, and I find for the most part it does look better if you just do a quick touch up on GIMP. So we'll get started on that. Alright, so when you open up GIMP, you should have the toolbox opened up, and this tab should open up as well. Won't really need to use this tab too much, but we will use the toolbox. Okay. So the first tool we're going to use is this lasso. That's what we're going to do to crop this image. And to start cropping, you really want to know a few keyboard shortcuts. What you want to use is you hold down the control key and use the mouse wheel, and you'll be able to zoom in real quick here. Real close rather. That's what you're going to need to do to get a nice edge on the cropping. And to move the image around like this is you just press down on the mouse wheel, so mouse 3 button I think it is. You press down on that and it'll kind of shift the image around. Okay. So again, you want to have the lasso selected here. Okay, and a free select tool, I guess it is. Looks like a lasso, but so you zoom in a little bit close here, and I like to start where kind of the tan meets the white, and all you do is you just click the lasso here and it kind of moves it along. I zoom in and out periodically to make sure I'm still on the right path. So we'll just go around this. Okay, and if you screw up with the lasso, let's say you hit it backwards or over here, what you want to do is you just want to go to the circle here and just redrag it where you want it to go. Okay, you don't have to be that careful with this. I mean, you're zoomed in so much, no one is going to see a lot of the mistakes that you make. When in doubt, I just kind of add myself a little bit more space. Is easier to fix than cutting off too much. Okay, and you do want to be careful because maybe there is a way, but I don't know, if you somehow click off of the lasso, you'll lose all your progress. So you just want to focus on trimming this at first. Alright, we'll just go along here, and I'm probably going to fast forward through this so we don't have 10 minutes of me just clicking on something that's super zoomed in. So I'll fast forward through this. You can kind of start up where I'm near the end. Okay. So I'll kind of slow it down here just to show you guys this. So you can see I have the shadow and then the candle. I'm just going to leave the shadow in at this point. Of course, you can always go back and crop down more if you need to. And sometimes the shadow looks nice to have that in. Alright, and then I'm just going to keep going here. Again, I'm probably going to fast forward through this so you don't just see this for another 5 minutes, okay? Okay, so we'll start it back up here, almost at the end. And again, you can see I'm not going right next to where the color is. You leave a little bit of a buffer, kind of soften the edges for you. Otherwise, it'll look kind of strange if you go straight to where it is dark. Okay, so almost to the end here. And then when you get to the end, what you want to do is you just want to connect these dots. Okay? Then we'll zoom out here again using control and back on the mouse wheel. So you can see now there's a highlighted line going across or around your product. So what I do is you just hit Control C, which is copy. Okay? Just go ahead and hit Control C. And then what I do is I just hit Control New. That'll open up a new kind of window for you, and you don't have to worry too much about the changing that. It should be okay for you. Just hit OK, and then you can just hit Control V, the letter V, Control V for paste, and then just paste it. Okay, and then that's an image you can work with here. And what I do is you hit Control A to kind of select everything. Okay. You may have to go and use this tool here. Just select everything. Kind of hit the background sometimes. Control A. Alright, and then that's the image you can go ahead and work with. And you can see I left the shadow in. It looks pretty goofy, so we'll take that out. Alright. So go ahead and just do that. There are a few ways you can do that. I usually just use the eraser, so click that right there. And then I usually hit this here in your brushes tab because that'll kind of affect how the eraser is. If you do this one, it's kind of hard to get a nice clean edge. Okay, so we'll just zoom in here and erase some of this because it does look kind of goofy, that shadow. And again, just take your time. Don't go totally right next to it. But if you do something like that, you just hit Control Z to undo. Probably one of the most important buttons you can use in this program, or really any photo editor. So just kind of zoom in and see where you have a feel for everything. And again, just Control Z if you want to delete something. And here you can change the size. That can help a lot. That's way too big. So just go bigger here. And again, you can click the mouse too just to do that. And then you just zoom in to get a little bit closer here for the final touches. Again, sometimes you don't have to be that precise because you're so zoomed in, you're not going to be able to see every tiny little imperfection. And so we'll just get this bottom shadow part out. And change the size down. You know, because opacity is, so if you turn the opacity down a lot, You see it just kind of makes it lighter. You're going to use just Control Z to undo those. You don't have infinite Control Z power, but it'll bring you pretty far backwards. Okay, I think you guys can kind of get the idea of this. And again, I don't know if I'm going to do the total finishing touches because I think you can kind of see where I'm going with this. Just going to erase these. Alright, and you can see that looks pretty good. Even though zoomed up, it does still look pretty goofy, but I mean, you're so zoomed in that a lot of people won't see these. Okay, Control Z there. Alright, so that's pretty good for me, for this video at least. You know, you can see there's some jagged edges. You would want to obviously take those out and maybe soften the edges. I can show you guys that real quick because it's another very basic tool is the smudge tool. I use it a lot, or I don't use the smudge as much as, well, smudge tool is pretty good. I'll show you that. It just kind of softens everything up for you. And again, you can change around the opacity and rate. Both pretty similar functions. Rate's kind of how fast, and opacity is, you know, how dark or how light it's going to be. So you just kind of smudge these out a little bit, make it look a lot better when you're zoomed out completely. Okay. All right. What I always like to recommend, you see that looks pretty nice. Before you get too far, this is kind of the master copy. You just want to make sure you save as. I'm going to save it candle. Alright. Candle master working is usually how I title things. And then just hit save. Okay. So let's say I touched everything up and I'm ready to go ahead and put it on Amazon. So what you're going to need to do then is you want to crop it down, obviously. So you hit this crop tool. Okay. Click on that. And you just kind of make a box. And then you see these have these rectangles on each side. Those will allow you to bring it closer in. So on Amazon, you really don't want that much white space around. So you just zoom these in here. Okay. And then to actually do the crop, you're just going to hit enter. Alright, and there you go. Enter, or you can click the mouse inside the box too. Alright, so that's our image there that we're going to put on Amazon. And in this program, you can resize it. Typically, if you have a high resolution photo, you're not going to need to resize it to zoom for Amazon. I think on Amazon they say they want at least 500 pixels on the smallest side. So what you can do here is you go to image, scale image, and you can see I'm at 2646 pixels and height 2717. So that's well over the pixel amount that you need for Amazon to zoom. So you can just cancel that. Alright, but it's a good way to check to make sure. And kind of the final touch here you need to do to get your image ready for Amazon is you need to export it and change the file type. So you go to File up here, and then you go to Export As. This will bring you here. And to say I already have the PNG extension typed in. That's what Amazon needs. So we'll just go here, Startup, Retail Arbitrage. And to change the extensions, you just go into here, and you kind of choose what you want. Okay. So I think PNG is the preferred Amazon image type, so just click on that. And I still just make sure you have the extension here, .png. Sometimes it doesn't seem to work correctly if you don't put that in, so just do .png and just hit export. And you don't really have to mess with any of that, just hit export. Okay. And that is really all you need to do to make a simple white background for images. Okay, I hope some of you guys found some use in that video. If you like it, I'll look into making some more, but if not, I hope you still find it useful.